So the Camaro decided it wanted to catch on fire while I was driving it. I had a fire under the dash. I lost the radio, and then I got a giant black cloud of smoke came pouring out from under the dash. And I had to bail out of the car on the side of the road, thinking the car was gonna go up. I'm like, well, what can I grab? CDs and some other random stuff. And the smoke went away. So I drove it home, listening to the sound of wind, and we got the dash pulled apart here. Just pulled the radio out. We didn't go any further, and I'll show you the damage. Don't cover the mic.
Well, that's a wire and a little bit of insulation there was left. The rest of it's just bare going all the way back. And that wire there is all mangled and burned up.
Yeah, the one wire has absolutely no casing left to it. There's it burnt like the whole casing off the wire, and it's the whole length under the dash. I don't even know what wire it is yet. Yeah. And it fused itself to a bunch of other wires. With the carpeting and the insulation that's back there, I don't know how the car still exists. I don't know how it didn't burn to the ground. And if you watched my last video I made on the car of 10 reasons why I hate this thing, I said because it's an electrical nightmare. Hopefully I don't have any electrical fires. Boom, here we are 2 weeks later from that video with an electrical fire, which is crazy because I've had the car since 2019 and it hasn't had any issues until I talked about it. I'm telling you, I think this car is possessed. And that's not the only reason I think it's possessed. There's a bunch of other things this car breaks when you speak about it. And then when you try and fix those problems, it creates the same problem, only through a different passageway. This car hates me. So we're gonna pull the console out of the car and investigate and try and remove as much unnecessary wiring that's in this car from previous owners as we can and put back in the basics for a radio. So see you in a minute. All right, so under the dash we wanted to trace where the power wire goes for the stereo. So we found it under the hood. And here, explain to the people what the hell's going on right now.
I'm fucking horrified. I follow the positive wire going from the radio, which is just hot wired directly to a whole bunch of wires.
And this is the positive wire, which looks like speaker wire.
And granted, that goes directly to the radio. And that's ran all the way down to this horrible looking Y, which is also ran all the way back there, which there was a wire hanging off of here just dangling about, which is also plugged into a
the
positive.
wire hanging out right by the choke, which is just it's a hot wire just laying exposed. Also right next to fuel.
And you check out this Y, and hey, look, another Y. It's a double Y.
Yeah, let me get in there.
It's a double Y. One Y, two Y. And then you run into here, which is plugged into the ignition module. And then that's plugged into the relay box and everything, and the fuse for,
and of course,
rad fan.
Oh, this ball or rat's nest of wiring is just laying on the idler arm. You know,
this is horrible.
This is what I was talking about in that one video. You need 3 hands to do the battery. You need 2 hands to cradle the battery because it's got no strap, and you need a 3rd hand to hold this pile back out of the way.
This is horrible.
Horrifying.
It's horrifying. Yeah, and you just got self-tapping screws as your grounds.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just self-tapping screws. Well, that one's not. These two are. Just self-tapping fucking screws. Oh my god.
And then on the trunk of the Riv, you got some of the burn-up wires that we pulled out. Oh yeah, that looks wonderful, doesn't it? Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, this is my favorite one. Where's the casing on that wire? That's just copper. Like there's some of the casing. So yeah, there's that. More smoked wires. It burned up the harness that goes to the radio. I gotta get a replacement harness. Yeah, that's beautiful. This was bound to happen. I knew the car was an electrical nightmare when I bought it, and I just kind of sat it back because it was working. But yeah, this was bound to happen. It's a nightmare in here. This is what happens when 25 Jim Bobs own your car prior to you, and they decide to make everything themselves.
Hey, look, another hanging wire that's
just
here.
goes to nothing.
I don't know if it's a positive or a negative, or if it's even plugged into anything, but we're finding out. We'll figure it out. Where's it go?
Entertainment at its finest. My favorite was the just exposed hot wire right next to the car.
Hey, guess what? That goes to your MSD box.
Does it?
Yeah, 100%. It's just a, you know, that wire comes all the way down here. Here it is, right here. And you follow that down, and it twists around, and then it goes right here.
Do the loop, the loop.
And then it goes right into your module here.
And
it's not plugged into anything.
Maybe tag signal?
Could be. That might be why you don't have a tag.
Hey!
Could be. Hey, that's why you ain't got a tag.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Poor car. It's not the car's fault. Alright. We'll be right back again. Alright, so Kyle spent about 4 to 5 hours of his own time sorting through that mess. And he's got everything pretty much where it needs to be. You're not going to be able to pretty that car up under the hood wiring wise. All he did was remove wiring and relocate stuff and delete some of the Y splits that it had. There were so many Y splits of wiring under that hood where one wire would meet another wire and it would tee off into another one. So he spent a lot of his time with his soldering iron out there sorting through it. I can't thank him enough. The car is still apart interior wise. I had to order a new harness for a radio. My radio that I had was burnt up. We actually had to pull it apart and pull my Van Halen CD out of the CD player, and we scrapped the radio. It was no good. However, I do have another Pioneer radio. It's a 2007 that came out of my 86 Camaro I used to have. I had just had to order the correct wiring harness for it. So when that shows up in the mail, we'll put that in the car, put the dash back together, and that will be back on the road as a semi-daily. Thank you, Kyle. Lifesaver. Wiring goes over my head. I can do basic stuff, but when it comes to a spaghetti platter that is, it's straight over my head. So, on to why I think the car is possessed. A while back, from like August to September, I was having big issues with the electric fan in that car where it didn't want to kick on. It would just lose power due to more shoddy wiring. The fan wouldn't kick on, the temperature would come up, you'd get out, you'd go under the hood, you'd wiggle the wire in the relay and it would kick on. So I dealt with that for about a month and a half until I finally got fed up with it. So Kyle, again, saved the day, rewired the fan. He found a couple shorts in it, and eventually he ended up just rewiring the fan directly to the switch that it was wired to already. The fan was optional. It operated off of the temperature sensor, and it could operate off of a switch on the dash. He bypassed everything, so it only functions off the switch on the dash. So the car had overheating issues. No sooner than we fixed the overheating issues, the car threw the water pump belt while I was on the highway. I'm like, what am I smelling? That's antifreeze. Oh, temperature gauge is pegged at like 240. So I shut the car off, slapped it in neutral, and coasted off the highway. The belt was still under the hood. It was still in one piece. It was in pieces, but still solid, like one whole loop. So I spun the water pump by hand real quick, got it to cool down, and we ended up putting a belt on it. And that was all fine and dandy. Cool. This problem's all fixed. No overheating. So we had overheating because of lack of fan. Then we had overheating because of lack of water pump. And after that, the car, as we rolled into, after September, we got into the colder months, the car was like, oh, you don't like heat. Is that what I hear? You don't like heat. That's what I'm getting. The blower motor took a dump. And it wasn't even the blower motor that took a dump. It was the wiring to the blower motor. So basically in the middle of October, I just shoved the car in the storage unit and parked it for the season until late March, early April. That's when we figured out what was wrong with the blower motor. But I'm telling you, overheating because of a fan, fix that. Overheating because of the belt flies off the water pump. And then the car's like, oh, no heat, no problem, no blower motor. No matter what I do with that car, it just fights me tooth and nail. So I'm telling you, I think that car might be possessed. And it's just at the point in life where it's like, retire me already. I don't know. I think it's getting close to being reliable. It's just I got to reverse engineer all the 25 previous owners' work that's been put into the car. And like I said in my last video of 25 or 20 reasons why I love and hate the car, the guy that sold it to me, he told me, he says, I don't know how many people owned this car before me, but I found so much crooked stuff done to this car. I've just been trying to reverse engineer it to normal since. So I guess that's where I take over, and I gotta finish off the reverse engineering. So hopefully, once that harness comes in and I put a new radio in it, put the console back together, I'll have another daily third gen again. So, on a side note, it's been just a little bit over a year that the Trans Am has sat on the ground on all four wheels. If anybody's been paying attention to the background of my videos, this front wheels and that ass end, the back of the car was up in the air on jack stands since May last year, and the front wheels were these they were third gen Z28 wheels with slicks. Those currently on the back of the Cutlass were on the front of the Trans Am. They were only on the Trans Am acting as floor jack stands because I didn't have enough jack stands because I have so many broken cars that require jack stands. So the Trans Am as of today is finally on the ground with all four brand new tires on the turbine wheels. We got 295 5015 Firestone Firehawks Indy 500. Oh wait, Indianapolis 500. So that's done. The car still needs a heater core, but that's another story. And third gens aren't my scene. They're not my favorite car in the world. It's just the car that I have the most amount of spare parts for, and I've owned enough of them. I don't understand. Third gens aren't my favorite car in the world, but back in the day when I got into them, they were so cheap that I had enough of them, and I've just accumulated parts for them, that at this point, my basement and my storage unit is a third gen warehouse. So much so that my Cutlass, since I sold the Kragers, if you saw in Riley's video, Riley bought that Skylark and I sold him the Kragers, I've now got a set of Sport Coupe Camaro third gen wheels on the front. There's the passenger side. And there's the driver's side. It's become such a third gen warehouse that I've now got Sport Coupe wheels on the front, and as you just saw, Z28 wheels on the back. Obviously, they're not permanent wheels. These are just roller wheels, so I can move the car and work on it. Me and my dad just ordered a new set of 15-inch Kragers. We got 15x8s for the back, deep dish, and 15x7s for the front. Once those show up, I gotta get tires for them. I haven't really picked out a tire size in particular yet. I want something big that's going to fill up that rear wheel well, and something that's going to lower the front end just a little bit, because with the aluminum top end that this car's got, that Cutlass has raised significantly in the front. I've got air shocks in the back of this thing. I got Gabriel hijackers, and it now looks like a factory ride height. The front end sits higher than the back does with that aluminum head setup. So I'm going to have to go with a big tire out back and something smaller, lower profile in the front, just to lower it down, because I'm not putting drop spindles on the car. I'm not cutting coils out of the springs. That's not happening. That's out of the question. And I want to keep my header collector clearance that it has. So I don't want a massive rake to the car. I just want the car to sit, instead of like this, I want it to sit like this. Not like this, but like this. So that's going to wrap this video up. We got that AC delete kit right there. I still got to put my blower motor resistor switch in. I got to use some kind of silicone and plaster that thing onto the firewall. I got to get my engine back from the machine shop and slide my 4-speed behind it. I've got a slight complication with the 4-speed. I might make a video on it, I might not. If I do, you'll know what it is. If I don't, nothing was wrong. So anyway, you guys have a good day, have a good night, do whatever it is that you do, and whatever you are, be a good one. I'll see you later. Take it easy.